For joining. Thank you, Emily. Thank you for joining our conversational webinar today for our PhD in bioengineering. My name is Marissa. I work on the graduate admissions team along with our PhD recruiting specialist, Emily Walters, who is also here to answer any of your questions. We're so excited for you to join us today, and we want to welcome you and wish you a very good congratulations on your acceptance. During the webinar, if you have any questions, please do feel free to drop them in the Q&A. Emily and I will be in the Q&A answering some of them, but some, if they're very common questions, we may save them until the very end. So your student colleagues can also hear the answers to those questions. So with that, I will hand it over to our panelists and we can get started on the content of the webinar.
Thank you, Marissa, and thank you, Emily, for organizing and being here with us today. Okay, so we usually organize this seminar in the summer before you start, just because we acknowledge that you might have questions, and a lot of you want to be as prepared as possible for when you actually start in September. And so this is a good way to get everybody together and kind of go over what should be happening now and what will be happening as you start in September. So as you see in the agenda, we're gonna remind you what the contacts, who the contacts are. We'll go over once again the PhD timelines and all the milestones, and we'll focus a lot on what to expect in your first semesters, as well as talk about additional orientation days in September. All right, so if we have not met, but I think we've met with all those that are on the call right now. My name is Chiara Bellini. I'm an associate professor and also the director of the PhD program. And then I'll pass to Caroline to introduce herself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Caroline. I'm the Assistant Director of Academic Programs, and I'm the primary point of contact for the PhD program. Similarly, I think I've been in touch with the majority of our incoming class. We're really excited to see you. But I support with, any queries about the program, courses, milestones, who you want to rotate with if you're rotating. Any kind of anything you need, and I can also connect you to other offices to help if you're not sure who to reach out to. And I'll hand over to Stephanie.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm a third-year PhD student in the department. I work in Dr. Guohao Dai's lab in tissue engineering concentration. And I'm also a graduate student ambassador, so any questions that you feel might be more suited to a student, feel free to send them my way, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Thank you both.
And not on the slide, but maybe Alison, if you want to introduce yourself.
Oh, here, yes.
Yep, absolutely. I'm Allison Jacobs. I'm the Associate Director for Graduate Student Services in the Graduate School of Engineering. I work with all of the departments on all things PhD advising and also funding.
All right, so other people in the department, important people, obviously our department chair, Professor Joy, then Esther Cohen, who is the Director of Operation and Business Management. Essentially, she works very closely with Allison to make sure that all of you get paid. So very important part of your PhD, being able to support yourself as well. So any question related to funding for different aspects, Allison and Esther will be your point of contact. And then Jeremy Marshall, who is our lab operation and safety manager. I think this is the first time that we have an actual picture of Jeremy since he started last year. He is going to be your reference contact for anything that is lab related, getting access to the labs, doing the training. If you need an instrument that you don't know who might have, he may be a good person to reach out to, facility, and anything like that. All right. Who's Carol, do you want to take this, or Allison?
I think Allison is going to give just
Allison.
a little overview of what advising helps with.
Yeah, absolutely. So important information here would be our email address. This will go to our central Graduate Student Services inbox for PhD advisors. And so I don't know if there's a slide on this, but you'll either be assigned to Lucine or Romana, and we'll do these assignments after the ad drop period, so either late September, early October. But our email address is there, coe-phd-grad advising, and someone will get back to you very quickly with a very fast response time. So you might be wondering, who do you reach out to for what questions? And so we've kind of created this little chart here to help you with that. So the Graduate Student Services Academic Advisor, so my team, you'll reach out to us for any registration errors or any registration issues you might be encountering. If you have any questions or issues with your degree audit, we're happy to help walk you through your degree audit and help you understand it and help you with completing it. Next, if you have any questions, or if you find yourself on academic probation, or if you have any questions about your academic standing, our office can absolutely help you with that. In the Graduate Student Services team, or GSS, we have many forms. And so if you have any questions about those forms, we're happy to help walk you through those or troubleshoot if you're having issues with Adobe Sign. And also just any general questions or concerns you might have. Like Caroline, you're welcome to come to us, and if we don't have the answer, we will connect you with the correct office. Next, questions for your department faculty program advisor, your PhD faculty advisor. These would mainly be questions about courses, like content, assignments, grading, selection. They can also help out with questions about who to put on some of these forms, like our standard petition form or override form. And they can also, again, answer any questions about course-related things like independent studies or directed studies, or if you're looking to maybe get a master's thesis along the way, and then dissertation courses. And if you're joining as an international student, you would absolutely want to make friends with the OSA Global Services or OGS office. They are your go-to for any questions about your F1 visa, making sure that you're maintaining your compliance. Also, if you have any questions about CPT, OPT, pre-OPT, they are definitely the office who has the best knowledge about these and can guide you through any of your questions. And also, if you find yourself needing to take a leave of absence as an international student, you'll definitely need to speak with the Office of Global Services advisor first, and then the Graduate Student Services. Other contacts, so kind of mentioned this already, OGS, the Office of Global Services, any visa related inquiries, any questions about your I-20. They also have drop-in office hours on their website. There's also the BioE co-op advisors. If you're interested in doing a co-op while in your PhD program, they're your resources for any kind of co-op related questions. And then our COE graduate admissions team here. If you have any questions about your official transcript submission, please reach out to that COE-grad admissions at northeastern.edu email, and they'll get back to you as soon as possible to help resolve that question.
Excellent. Thanks, Allison.
Yep.
So everything that we will discuss today, it's also in the graduate handbook. So really the graduate handbook will be and should be your go-to for anything that is related to the PhD program in bioengineering. One of our students actually has helped or is helping in making the graduate handbook even more user-friendly, and the new version will be published very soon, but anytime we update it regularly, and the link will not change. So please bookmark the link for the graduate handbook. Anytime you have a question, Control F on the graduate handbook and you will find the answer. But if not, or if you still have questions after, we'll be happy to guide you through the right place or the right answer.
And just to add to that, I'll be letting everyone know when the new version comes out, which applies to your cohort incoming for fall 2025. And that also applies to the course catalog page, which is that official page which talks about the course requirements. That's updated by the registrar just once a year, and that happens over the summer. So that updated version will be coming out very soon, hopefully this month. And also importantly, there will, for the first time, be a Boston page and a Portland page. So I believe we have one of our Portland students on the call. So that's also going to be a really helpful resource for you.
All right, so this is an example timeline for the PhD program. Every PhD path is unique, but these are a standard set of milestone and the time where we suggest you to aim to achieve this milestone. So we are now before year one in the summer. If you are a rotating student, that is a good time to start reaching out to faculty to secure your first rotation. Again, it's not necessary for you to have a confirmed rotation before you start in September, but it's highly encouraged so that you can hit the ground running. Then for the first thing that you're going to do when you come in September is complete the lab safety training. Again, Jeremy will help you figure out how to do that, as well as your lab members. For the students that are on rotation or on TA or fellowship, so the rotating students fall in spring, you're going to have your first rotation and your second rotation. Again, if you, after your first rotation, are good to go and really enjoy the lab and want to stay in the lab, there is no need for you to do a second rotation. The rotation comes with form. We really value documenting all your PhD history. And so part of that documentation is filling out forms for lab rotations. And so there is going to be a form at the beginning and a form at the end that will need to be completed by you and your advisor in that, or for that rotation. And that is a good time to sit down and have a quick one-on-one to see what are the expectations for your rotation and what is reflect back at the end of the semester for how everything went. Once you decide which lab to join in coordination with the advisor, then there is an advisor declaration form that also needs to be submitted. In rare cases where students can find a advisor after the second rotation, we have supported a third rotation. Again, that's not guaranteed, depends on the availability of funding in the department. But the hard deadline is that we do require students that come in with in the rotation system to declare an advisor by 12 calendar month after the start of your PhD. So basically by the end, if you start in September 2025, is by the end of August 2026. Then year two, really the big milestone is the qual exam, after which, if you successfully pass, you become a PhD candidate. It can be done in the fall or spring, or even the summer before if you're applying to fellowship. So really, you're not going to fall behind if you take your qual exam in the spring of your second year. That's all embedded within the plan. Can be taken twice if the first time you fail. Rare occasion that has occurred, and then students were able to pass the second time. There's also a conditional pass. We'll go over all these details next year when you're ready to take your quals. And then after you become a PhD candidate, then your next step is to form your PhD committee. Note that now that our qual exam is on your own research, sometimes, and I would say quite often, the examiners that are in your qual committee, or at least some of them, become and stay on and become member of a PhD dissertation committee. We also encourage you to have an external member that may be external to the department, but still within, and not affiliated, but still within Northeastern, or most often is a colleague that of your PI that is at a different institution. The year three big milestone is the proposal defense. So this is a document on your own research, which again is can be further developed from your qual exams, and that's why we allow both of them to be on your own research, and you may have already completed part of your research proposal while you defend, which is when I recommend it to that meeting to occur. And so then after that there is essentially another form that you fill, and that's where your committee tells you this is what you're proposing is a good project for a PhD and it's sufficient to fulfill the requirement of a PhD in bioengineering at Northeastern. Then you're gonna have yearly committee meeting throughout your program until you defend. There is in year 5, hopefully, the penultimate committee meeting, essentially at least 4 months before you defend. You're gonna meet with your advisors, your advisor and your examiners, your committee members, and you're going to show them what you've done. You're going to tell them what you're going to do before you defend, and it's an agreement that yes, you're good to go, you're ready to write your dissertation and eventually defend. Overall, I think, I don't know the new statistics, but up to last year, the median graduation date was, defense date was 5 years. Okay, so first semester, and really depends on how you were admitted. Students that come in as TA, you will rotate, you will help out with classes, and you will take classes. Your semester will be pretty busy. Bioengineering fellowship, there's no TA duties, but rotation and classes. And then if you instead were admitted as with an RA, so a research assistantship, both in Boston or Portland, you will be focusing on research and classes. We know that any change is requires sometimes to adapt and get into a new routine, and that may take time. That is for those of you who come from an undergrad or a master degree where the only thing that you focus on is classes, with some volunteering research perhaps. This is going to be different. Classes are going to be one of the things that you do, but you have equally important other equally important aspects of your daily life that you're going to have to focus on, particularly research. And so we don't do a PhD alone, and we have a really good community to support you that starts of course with your lab mates. There are going to be senior PhD students in your labs, and if not, there will be neighboring labs that have senior PhD students. Talk to them, talk to the Graduate Student Council, talk to the ambassadors, talk to us, talk to your PI. Everybody is available to support you, and we have a mentorship program for our Graduate Student Council puts together. So really seek help, don't isolate yourself. We may have simple answer to questions that you might have.
And just kind of referencing a question that was in the chat about kind of course load in your first semester as a research assistant. Stephanie, you gave a great answer. And I don't know if you want to kind of speak to that a little bit in terms of like what your first semester is like in terms of, you know, balancing time and maybe things that you don't think would take a lot of time, taking a lot of your time. I don't know, it'd be great to hear your experience about when you joined.
Yeah, I think coming from college, it's easy to think like, oh, I can take 4 classes. That's what I did, 4 or 5 courses per semester. But it's a little bit different in PhD. You're learning to how to manage your time through all of the research, TA, rotation, and courses. And you don't want to leave no time for research, because that's the most important thing to leave time for in your PhD. So I think, especially in my experience, going a little lighter on the courses can be more beneficial. And if you want to get courses over with earlier, I've taken courses even throughout the summer semesters, and it helps knock them out pretty fast. So
That's great advice. Thank you, Stephanie.
All right, so this is a question that we receive often. I have a Master of Science or a Master of Engineering in a related area, so I should qualify for advanced entry. We review for appropriateness all your transcripts. So we go through the classes to make sure that you have taken, to make sure that they're relevant and they are equivalent to what a master degree would be here. If you, at the time of application had or admission, had already completed your Master of Science or Master of Engineering, and the review approved the advanced entry status, then it should already show in your record. However, if you have completed the master degree in the spring, we need to wait until you have a degree, the degree is conferred, and we have official transcript that says the degree has been conferred before we can award you advanced entry. Again, it does not need to be set by September 1st, so whenever you start your program. I think if by the end of the first semester that's not there, then we can definitely let us know and we'll work it out. But you've got 5 years to make sure that that's on your record, so don't panic. Okay, so for those who are TA, there has a Carolyn has sent out a form already. That's correct.
So
the
yeah,
form
all our
out?
incoming TAs
Yeah.
have filled out the TA options form, which is amazing. That's record time.
Perfect.
I would just like to say for this cohort, thank you for being so proactive. You filled it out straight away, and that's meant that we could get started on TA assignments sooner than we normally do.
Excellent. And so really, this is something that we have put in place to improve our TA experience. You know, TA in a class, as much as teaching a class, is really tough the first time. And so being sure that we do our best to match your background with the classes that you're going to TA is important. And so that form is meant to make sure that we can do this matchmaking exercise effectively and efficiently. The TAs will be assigned by Esther and Carolyn, but like the faculty that will teach the class will have input, and if you haven't already, you will get notified of your class that you're going to TA before the start of the semester. We'll connect you with the instructor of that class, and my suggestion is really, of course, TA duties vary depending on the class and depending on the instructor, right? And so my suggestion is really to reach out to the instructor that you're assigned to and ask for a quick meeting. It does not need to be, an hour-long meeting. It can be a 15 to half an hour meeting, 15 minutes to a half an hour meeting, where you sit down with them physically or virtually, and you make sure that you know what their expectations are and what their workload is. Because particularly if you're a TA, then you're gonna, again, have to handle research, have to handle TA, and have to handle taking your own classes. So knowing what to expect, what is expected of you, is important to allot appropriate time for everything. We will also hold a TA info session at the beginning of the semester, again, to provide you with some tools to make sure that you know what to expect and you know what a TA entails.
Yeah, and to our TAs, I'll be in touch over the course of the next few weeks as we kind of get through this process. Part of it will also be checking like your schedule in terms of classes for those TAs that need like in-class attendance, things like that. So keep an eye on your emails and I'll be in touch.
Okay, so lab rotation, we already mentioned that it's a good time to start reaching out to faculty to secure your first rotation, but if not, if that's the first thing that you do when you come here, that's also okay. First rotation, we prefer to be with a core bioengineering faculty member. It's not always possible. We have some great affiliated faculty where we can where they can advise our students. And so if you are unable to confirm a rotation with the core bio faculty, then affiliated faculty is the next best option. How to find those people? Website, it has on the website, if you go to faculty, you can look at each faculty profile with, oh, here we go. I was waiting for this page to come up. So these are all our faculty, and you can choose and filter by core faculty, affiliated faculty, and you can also select and filter by campus. So Portland versus Boston. We don't have PhD program by engineering in any of the other campuses at the moment. And then research areas. Okay. So, and there is all the contacts and the email addresses for faculty are there. What I also encourage you to do is to get the names of our faculty and either go to their website or even better, go to their Google Scholar page. Everybody has a Google Scholar page at right now. And so trying to figure out sort their publication by the latest and try to figure out what they're doing if you're interested in what they're doing. And as a tip, if you want to ask for a rotation to a faculty member and you go there having read some of their papers so that you can intelligently discuss their research, the conversation starts on the right foot there. Okay, so then we talked about already aiming to join a lab at the end of your second rotation, but as a requirement 12 months after the beginning of the program, and you don't need to do a second rotation if the first one is your place.
And just a note, to confirm your rotation, you do need to provide us with one of those lab rotation allocation forms. I linked it in the welcome emails that I sent to you all. It's in the handbook. It's on these slides that'll be sent out. So please make sure that you're sending that to me. It's really helpful for a variety of reasons. One, making sure that you have a lab rotation. It confirms it for you. It also helps us organize like where you're going to sit, which, you know, in terms of making sure there's seats in the lab space, and all sorts of things like that. So please make sure as soon as you and a faculty member agree you're going to be doing a rotation with them, please get that form signed and sent over to me.
Okay, so whenever you join a lab as an RA, or if you begin your rotation, please email the PI and try to get a one-on-one meeting with them to set expectations. And you know, everybody, again, the way that we organize rotations in our own lab is different and might even differ depending on the student. Some consider rotation a way for the rotating students to learn some techniques, for example, that are the bread and butter of the lab and interact with other students and see what their projects are. Some other prefer to have a rotation student with their own project and like kind of working through a simple project that can be concluded by 4 month of the rotation. So discuss this option if you prefer one versus the other. Ask what the expectation in terms of research are. Ask it what the expectation in terms of communication are. Ask what the expectation in terms of meetings are. How often are we going to meet? How? If I have a simple question for you, how can I reach you? Is email, text, instant messages? Every lab has their own way to communicate, and it's important that you plug into that culture. In order to remain in good research standing, you need to maintain good research progress. And I forgot to mention earlier, that was on the slide, but every year the Department of Bioengineering conducts a annual review of all PhD students. And it's actually centralized at the college level. So every PhD students in the College of Engineering and Northeastern answer to the same questions and goes through the same review process. There is an option for unsatisfactory research progress, and that triggers a research probation. So you would get an official email from Allison's team saying that you're on research probation, and then the PI will write a letter with milestone for that you should target for the probation period, and then we're gonna have meetings to set up the probation period, and then get halfway to see how it's going. And really, the purpose of all these is to catch issues early so that they can be resolved. And every time that as PI we bring somebody into our lab, we are invested in that student. And so we want to make sure that that each student succeeds. And so if we identify problems and issues that need to be addressed early, that's the better way to resolve them before it gets too late, and then you're too far along in your PhD programs, and if things don't go well, that either extends your time or even leads to failure to complete, which is exactly what we want to avoid. Okay, so this is for taking classes. The instructor and the TA will be available for you. Again, make sure that you know what the expectations are for the classes that you are taking. In order to remain in good academic standing, you need a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or above, which is essentially a B. And there is going to be an academic probation if the GPA falls below 3.0, which again can be resolved once you get that GPA above 3.0 with other classes. This is an important point. The third bullet point is important. In order to maintain a full-time status, you need to be registered in 8 semester hour, which means 2 classes, and that includes the summer. Now, Stephanie just mentioned that she took some classes during the summer, which is something that some students do. But if in the summer you prefer to focus on research, then you need to be enrolled in this class, BioE 9986, which is the research class, and it's under your research advisor. And that's before you achieve candidacy, so before you pass your quals. After you pass your qual, then there are appropriate dissertation courses, dissertation 1, dissertation 2, and dissertation continuation. But the key point here is, particularly for international students, make sure that you're either registered for 8 semester hour, or if not, that you register in the appropriate research or dissertation course to maintain the full-time status, because your visa depends on it. In
I've
terms
just
of
noticed
oh yeah.
fall 20, that should say fall 2025. We have moved on a year and I just didn't change it.
Oh yeah. Fall 2025. Okay, so for example, um, the first option could be to take one of the core courses, Bio 6100, Medical Physiology, and a elective, Integrative Mechanobiology. Or the second option would be one core course plus the research. And I would say that personally, for those students that are admitted as TA, I would choose option 2 and just take one courses during your first semester, because you're again gonna have to balance TA, you're gonna have to balance your courses that you're taking, as well as doing some research with the objective of showing the PI that you're a good fit for their lab.
And just on that, if you are enrolling in research to fill kind of half of your credits, if you're just choosing one course, you do need to have a confirmed research advisor for that semester first. So in terms of order of operations, you want to confirm your rotation, because then you'll be enrolling under their research section. And also, especially as I know medical physiology is full, it is capped out, and the waitlist is also capped out. That class can also be another 5,000 level course. So it's very flexible in terms of what you can take. So you could take, say, for option not one, 5,000 level courses, or you could take a 5,000 level plus research if you just wanted to take one. We have a registration guidance document in the new student information page, which I shared with you all and which Advising shared. So if you need a reminder, take a look at that, or you can reach out to me if you need some specific advice on what to enroll in.
So there are some courses that all students have to take. The seminar courses that are 0 semester hour, you take it twice throughout your PhD. We don't police when that is, so just make sure that you register twice, because that will definitely come up in your degree audit if you have not. The student seminars, those are called the work in progress seminars. That's where you present. So you will enroll only when you are presenting, and that is usually in the second and fourth year. We have spilled over in the summer, so we have had a summer one WIP this year because of the number of students. So those are the suggested time, but again, there is flexibility depending on slot availability and your progress. But we do recommend that as part of the culture, you attend the seminar to interact with our speakers, that guest speakers that come from different institutions, and that you interact with your peer as they present, and give them feedback on their presentation skills. Qual exam, we went through a bit already. It says first semester, second year, but really is throughout the second year. Then we talked about dissertation 1 and 2 and research. So we covered the right hand side of this slide already. So now courses that you will register to, that will need to register to, depends on whether you have advanced entry or not. So PhD students that come with an undergraduate degree, then you'll have to complete 32 semester hour. There are 3 core courses. Medical physiology, that is offered in both fall and spring, as Carolyn mentioned. Unfortunately for the fall, it is full and the waitlist is full, which I didn't know. So it may not be a feasible option for this fall. Then math methods and BioE 7000 principle of bioengineering are the other 2 core courses. Both are in the spring. The only course that you really need to take your first year is BioE 7000, because that's, other than being the cohort building course, is the course that will prepare you for your quals. And again, the recommendation there may not be feasible. for medical physiology, but 2 electives will be totally fine. And then I recommend math methods and principal bioengineering for the spring. The remaining credits, so that will make 12 credits, 12 semester hours. The remaining will be electives, and there are a semester hour, which means 2 courses of restricted elective. Those depend on your research area, and then 12 semester hour, 3 courses of unrestricted elective. There is a huge master list in the graduate handbook as well as in the catalog. Again, particularly for the catalog, we can update it once a year. And there may be new cool courses that our students find from a different department because there is a new faculty that teaches them. If that's the case and that you want to take that class because it's important for your research, there are forms that you can sign to petition them to count as either a restricted or unrestricted elective, even if they are not part of the master list. For advanced entry students, you only have to take 16 semester hour. The core courses are 6,200 and 7,000. 6,200 is the math course. We have changed in response to student feedback. We have changed the content of the course a bit this year. So there is going to be a good part of probability and statistics to make sure that you know how to statistically analyze your data. That's an important aspect of research, making sure to find statistical meaning in the differences that you observe. And so that, and the other difference that will be offered in the spring as opposed to the fall. So because, which traditionally is what happened, because of it, then we are not gonna accept requests for waiving until the fall. The waiving of this requirement requires you to provide your transcript of equivalent classes that you have taken in the past. And so sorry, there was somebody at my door that distracted me. So we recognize that it's not and it would not be efficient for you to repeat a class that you have already taken with the same level of depth and breadth in your academic path. And so we have the option to waive these requirements. Which I think it's in the next slide as opposed to this one, right? Yes. So let's talk about this for a second. So how do you waive? That usually happens for the math methods class, at least the way that it was designed before. With the new content, things may be a little different. But regardless, if you feel that you master already the topics that are in any of these classes, then there is a process that you have to go to waive this requirement, which is emailing the course instructor, me and Caroline, with all the information about the equivalent course that you already taken. And that includes the syllabus, the textbook and the transcripts to see what the grade was in what grade you earn in that class. If the instructor approved that as a equivalent course, then there is a petition to waive this core requirement. But again, because we're not going to offer Bio 6200 until the spring, then we're going to deal with this in the fall. So you do not need to do that right now. So now we can go back to the previous. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it also gives you time to work out your eligibility rather than just kind of, it's stressing about doing that before you join, because we'll be talking about this in orientation. You can obviously then meet with, us as the fall semester starts. So it also gives some breathing room in terms of you working out what you need to do and what you might be eligible for.
Absolutely.
So just add one more thing to that slide. You've been talking about waiving the requirement. I just want to emphasize that we're going to replace it with something else. We're not just waiving those credit hours completely. You're doing fewer credit hours. That's not the case. You're going to replace those with others. So I just want to
Yes,
make sure that's
absolutely.
clear.
Yes, and
It's
it
written
says
in the
here,
text.
so yeah,
But
waive
yeah.
and replace the credits with a more appropriate course of your choosing. So say you have taken a graduate level math course before, you're going to take a different course instead to fill those 4 credits. Thank you, Alison.
Yeah, that is a good thing to emphasize, that it's not one less class, it's an alternative class to make sure that you don't repeat things that you already know, but you kind of learn something new. Okay, so this is really just to emphasize why we picked those 3 as core courses. And so the principle of bioengineering is, and it's the cohort building class, is where you will interact and work with all first-year PhD students. And because of this, the next year will be in the fall. This will be one of the first classes that you take, but we're grandfathering in these changes, and so for this year we'll still be in the spring. We'll teach you how to, and I'm going to actually teach that class. So we'll work together on how learning how to write a proposal, how to communicate in written and oral form about your science. Then math methods, again, give you a making sure that you have engineering tools to doing your PhD program. That includes, for example, linear algebra and a graduate level overview of ODEs, but we have included statistics and probability in this new version because we recognize that that is an important skill to have. And then medical physiology, again, only for those who access the program from an undergraduate degree. Electives. This is a table that includes the restricted electives that are by research area. There is
And just a suggestion, not locked in. So this is just a suggested organization for anybody wondering. You don't have to take these. This is just a helpful guide depending on your research area.
So and it's, if you remember, you have to take 8 semester hours, so it's basically 2 courses. But let's say that you love all the restricted elective, these, and you would like to take all, some of these can also count as your unrestricted elective. So I think the key word here is that the program is very flexible, and as long as you take a scientific course, then we'll find a way to place that course into your degree. And then lastly, some kind of signposting here, some events that will happen as soon as you start in September. So our orientation will be September 2nd in the afternoon. Before that, you will have the PhD network, which is a university-wide orientation the same day, and it's going to be during lunch, so they'll cover lunch. The COE Graduate Student Service orientation will be a week after in the current student center. Again, very important links to remember are the graduate handbook. Everything is in the graduate handbook. We'll make sure to let you know when the new version is released. Allocation form for rotating student, and then in terms of billing, registration, students' information, financial aspects, there are links there that guide you to important pages with some of this information.
And just signposting here, so in my welcome email, I let you know about the new student information page. It details what fees you are responsible for and which ones you aren't. I know that's a common kind of point of confusion ahead of the semester. And Alison and the Graduate Student Services team are really great at supporting you with that. But as a reminder that, students on SGA are not responsible for tuition, and there are a couple of other fees it covers, but there are some fees that you are responsible for, and you need to make sure that you pay them. Alison, do you want to speak a little bit more to that?
Absolutely. If you are funded on a stipended graduate assistantship or SGA, be it a RA or TA or a fellow, your award covers all tuition and then your health insurance. So those are the only two things that it covers. So all other fees, if you're an international student, there's a one-time international student fee, and then there are regular semesterly fees that you are responsible for every semester.
Great. So yeah, this is that new student information page, which I've referenced a couple of times, is also in the welcome email linked on these slides as well. It's just got everything that you need. So the registration guidance that are provided for Portland and Boston, and then it's got, all this other stuff that that you should be aware of. So I really recommend, if you haven't already, taking a look at this page, because it should answer most of your questions. And any international students, make sure that you are looking at the Office of Global Services information, which are also signposted here. All right. So I think that brings us to the end, and we've got a few minutes for Q&A, which is great timing. We do have a question in the chat about funding in this current landscape, Kiara.
Yeah. I wish I had an answer to that question, and I really don't. In terms of your salary, your offer letter will stated that we are committed to you for 5 years. As of now, none of the funding has been that was previously allocated to any PI in the department has been cut. So that promise still stands. It's an evolving situation. I wish I had, a crystal ball to look into what the future will hold. I don't. We really pride ourselves in the department to have a culture that we take care of our people. So we will do everything that it is in our power for you to successfully complete your degree.
All right. Any other questions? You can unmute if you can, or you can pop it in the Q&A box.
I'm also going to put in the chat just the email address for the COE grad admissions team. Just if you have a question and you forgot to ask it, you can feel free to reach out to us. And also, if you couldn't join today and you're watching the recording, you can simply feel free to reach out to us at coe-gradadmissions@northeastern.edu, and we'll definitely get back to you with your questions.
And similarly, Kiara and I are available for any questions you have. Stephanie is a great resource if you have kind of student experience questions. Can also give you some tips about, I don't know, housing and things like that, where it's good to live, kind of other student activities. So whatever you need, we're here to help.
So I don't see any questions. So I think we are good to close up the webinar today. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And if you were late or if you missed anything in the webinar, we're also going to be emailing out the recording to you and the rest of the incoming class. So please feel free to reach out with any questions. So thank you again to all of my panelists for joining today, and for all of our students. Thank you for taking time out of your summer before you start your classes to come and join us today. So have a great rest of the day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.